That's a Colorado welcome. Thank you. Please. Boy, there are more Republicans in this room than in my whole state. I have to tell you, this is an honor to see so many enthusiastic Republicans. Gives me a lot of confidence. Got a lot of friends here. I just saw Senator Wayne Allard as I was coming in, and I know that Governor Bill Owens is in attendance as well. Appreciate him being here. He was the chairman of my campaign along with Bruce Benson. They did a heck of a job. Thank you for the support you gave me in that presidential bid. And thank you. I know Congressman Tancredo is probably here somewhere, and Congresswoman Musgrave is here. Want to make sure that we see Republicans keep those seats for a long, long time to come. And of course, I'm real proud to be introduced and to have a person of Bob Schaefer's stature introduce me. We want to make sure he is Colorado's next senator. Let's get that job done. Now, this is kind of a new thing for me. You see, Senator McCain wasn't my first choice for president. I was. But you know, he is my first choice now, I'll tell you that. And you know, this is kind of new for me to speak in his behalf, and I'm not always good at doing new things. I remember when I went out to the Olympics out in Salt Lake City. I had never really lived there. I'd gone to school there, never lived there, and after moving in, I was walking back beyond our house in Park City, and I saw a big herd of sheep there with a farmer with the sheep. And feeling in a gaming mood, I came up to him and I said, "Look, if I can guess the exact number of sheep in your herd, can I have one?" And he laughed and said, "Sure." And I said, "Okay, 1,614. He said, "Absolutely amazing. You have guessed the exact number of sheep in my herd." And so I said, "Okay." I picked up my animal, began walking away. He said, "Wait a second. If I can guess your name and what you're doing here, can I have my animal back?" I said, "Sure." He said, "You're that Romney fella, came here from Massachusetts to run the Olympics, right?" I said, "How in the world did you guess that?" He said, "Put down my dog and I'll tell you." So forgive me for any mistakes today. Now, it's an honor to be in Colorado because you may well be the folks that decide who the next president of the United States is. This is going to be a key state, a critical state, and it's a critical state at a critical time. We face real challenges, and you know that. We face radical, violent jihadists who want to cause the collapse of our nation. We face a fragile economy right now. We face crises in healthcare and energy and the environment and education. And the choices we make as we face these critical challenges will determine what kind of nation we are and will be for our kids and our grandkids. Are we to take a sharp left turn and follow the way of Europe and end up as a second-tier nation, or are we going to remain the greatest nation on earth? I believe we're going to do the latter. And when it comes to making those choices, the two people who are John McCain is our nominee, but the most likely nominee on the Democratic side appears to be Barack Obama. But those two could not be more different on the key issues that America faces. I mean, look at them one by one. Take something like foreign policy and the threat of radical violent jihad. First of all, Barack Obama rarely even mentions that or thinks about it, from what we can tell. But his objective in foreign policy is, in his first year, without precondition, to sit down with Kim Jong-il and to sit down with Assad of Syria, to sit down with the Castros, to sit down with Ahmadinejad of Iran, the leading state sponsor of terror in the world. John McCain instead wants to sit down with our friends, with democracies around the world, to make sure that we have the strength together to combat the threat of radical jihad. Because, well, I want a president like John McCain who recognizes that the best ally peace has ever known is a strong America. Sometimes Barack Obama's positions have puzzled me. He wants to pull our troops out of Iraq even as they're on the eve of success. He wants to pull our troops out of Iraq without giving consideration to the potential that Al-Qaeda might reassert itself there into leadership among the Sunnis. He wants to pull our troops out of Iraq in such a way that could potentially mean that we would say to those people who've lost their loved ones, our dear soldiers, that their loss was a loss in vain. I don't understand where he is in terms of that kind of a position. John McCain wants our troops home by the end of his first term. That's his goal. And he'll do it by making sure we have success in Iraq first. I sometimes wonder how it is that Barack Obama got where he got on this issue. How could he be so far off the mark? And then I think Senator McCain put it out for us. Barack Obama hasn't been there in 2 years. He hasn't seen the success of the surge. The surge worked. It's too bad he missed it. I want to make sure that we have a president that stands up for America, stands up for liberty and truth, and makes sure that we're successful and victorious in bringing peace in the Middle East. And that's John McCain. Think about Homeland Security, how important it is to have a president that'll make sure that we keep safe. You know, it's very popular in some corners to be critical of the president. And not anyone that I know is perfect. I'm sure he'd say he's made mistakes. But one thing let's not forget, he has kept America safe these last 6 years. And like him, John McCain cares most about protecting the safety of the American citizens rather than worrying about what the ACLU thinks. I want to make sure that our next president recognizes that perhaps our most important civil liberty as Americans, and I value all of our civil liberties, but let's not forget one that oftentimes the ACLU seems to forget, and that is the right to be kept alive. I want a president that'll keep us alive. Our economy right now is fragile for a lot of reasons, as you know, the subprime mortgage crisis, the rising price of gasoline, and Barack Obama has a prescription for the economy. Given our slow economy, he wants to raise taxes, reduce our opportunity to trade around the world, and increase regulation. That prescription is exactly the wrong prescription. That would slow down our economy. Where did he go to school? I can't imagine. We have to make sure that we instead keep our taxes down, we invest around the world, we exchange with other nations, and we reduce regulation. John McCain has the right answer for our economy. And by the way, we're not going to see a strong economy unless America gets on a track to becoming energy secure and energy independent. And this party, and by the way, even the Democratic Party agree on a number of principles as it relates to energy and the environment. We want to use renewable sources of energy. We want to use more wind power and solar power, and we want to use these energy sources in an environmentally responsible way. But that's where the similarities seem to end, because the Democrats say no to nuclear power and no to coal power and no to additional drilling. I want to make sure we have a president that will say yes to getting America energy independent and getting us the energy we need, and that's John McCain. One of the biggest differences is in health care. Now, sometimes when people talk about health care and education, they think, oh, those are Democratic issues. Oh, no, they're not. Those are Republican issues. We have the answers for what America needs in education and in health care. We want to make sure in education that we put the kids first, not just the teachers' union, but the kids come first.